Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the ESV Taeguk, watching the stars through the big window. He had been flying this ship for 5 years now. It was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was fast and strong. The crew of 200 people trusted him with their lives. "Captain, we are getting close to the patrol area," said Commander Soo-jin Choi from her seat. She was his second officer and had been with him for 3 years. Soo-jin was good with weapons and never got scared in fights. "Good. Keep all sensors open. The aliens have been quiet for 2 weeks. "That makes me worried," Hyunwoo said. The year was 2387. Earth had been fighting the galactic hegemony for 30 years. The aliens called themselves the rulers of the galaxy. They had big ships and powerful weapons. They wanted to take over every planet where humans lived. Chief Engineer Bo-Ra Lee came up from the engine room. She was young, only 32, but she knew more about ships than anyone else on the crew. Her hands were dirty from working on the engines. "Captain, the engines are running perfect. But I found something strange," Bo-Ra said. She looked worried. "What kind of strange?" Hyunwoo asked. "The hull is giving off energy readings I have never seen before. It started 3 days ago. The metal seems to be changing somehow." Before Hyunwoo could ask more questions, the ship's alarm started making loud noises. Red lights flashed all over the bridge. "Captain, big alien fleet coming out of jump space," shouted the sensor officer. "I count over 300 ships." Hyunwoo ran to his chair and looked at the big screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Huge alien ships were appearing one after another. They were attacking the human colonies on the outer planets. "How many ships do we have in this area?" he asked. "Just us, Captain. The main fleet is protecting Earth. We are alone," Soo-jin said. Hyunwoo watched as the alien ships started shooting at the colonies below. He could see the explosions from space. Thousands of people were dying down there. "Captain, we should call for help and wait," said the communications officer. "By the time help comes, everyone down there will be dead," Hyunwoo said. He stood up and looked at his crew. "We are going in. Sir, that is 300 ships against 1. "We cannot win," Soo-jin said. "Maybe not. But we can try to save some people." "All power to weapons and shields. Take us straight at them." The Taeguk turned and flew fast toward the alien fleet. The enemy ships were huge, 10 times bigger than the human ship. They had weapons that could destroy a city with one shot. "They see us coming. 20 ships are turning to fight us," the sensor officer said. "Fire everything we have," Hyunwoo ordered. The Taeguk shot its missiles and energy beams at the alien ships. The weapons hit and damaged 2 enemy ships. But then the aliens fired back. "Incoming! Big energy blast coming right at us!" Soo-jin yelled. The alien weapon hit the Taeguk with enough power to destroy a mountain. Everyone on the bridge held on tight and waited to die. But they did not die. "What happened? Are we dead?" asked the pilot. Hyunwoo looked around. Everyone was still alive. The ship was still flying. "Damage report." "Captain, this is impossible. The sensors say we took a direct hit from their main weapon, but we have no damage at all," the damage control officer said. "That cannot be right. Check again." "I checked 3 times, sir. The hull is perfect. Not even a scratch." The alien ships seemed as confused as the humans. They fired again, this time with 5 ships shooting at once. The energy beams hit the Taeguk and made bright flashes of light. When the light faded, the human ship was still there, flying straight at them. "Captain, the aliens are backing away from us," Soo-jin said with surprise in her voice. "Good. Keep firing. Make them pay for attacking those colonies." The Taeguk flew into the middle of the alien fleet. The enemy ships shot at it with everything they had. Weapons that could melt through the strongest battleship armor bounced off the human ship like water off a duck. "This is amazing. Their weapons cannot hurt us at all," the weapons officer shouted. "Then let us show them what our weapons can do," Hyunwoo said with a smile. The Taeguk fired its main guns at the alien ships. Without their own weapons working, the enemy could not defend themselves. One by one, the human ship destroyed 12 alien cruisers. The rest of the alien fleet turned and ran away. They jumped back into space and disappeared. "They are running." "We beat them!" someone shouted. The bridge crew started cheering and hugging each other. They had won against impossible odds. 1 human ship had beaten 300 alien ships, but Hyunwoo was not celebrating. He was thinking about what had happened. "Bo-Ra, get down to the hull and check everything. I want to know why their weapons did not hurt us." "Yes, sir," Bo-Ra said and ran to the elevator. An hour later, she came back with a worried look on her face. "Captain, you need to see this." The hull is not the same metal we started with. Something is changing it at the molecular level. It is becoming something new. What do you mean? I mean the ship is changing itself. The metal is alive somehow. It is learning and adapting. When the alien weapons hit us, the hull studied them and became immune to that type of damage. Hyunwoo stared at her. That sounds impossible. I thought so too. But the evidence is right there. Captain, I do not think this is human technology anymore. The ship flew through space, heading back toward Earth. The crew was happy about their victory, but Hyunwoo and Bo-ra kept looking at the hull readings. The metal was still changing, becoming something they did not understand. As they flew home, none of them knew that their victory would make them the most wanted target in the galaxy. The alien leaders were already planning their next attack. They would not give up until they understood how one human ship had become indestructible. The Taeguk flew on through the dark space between stars, carrying its crew toward an uncertain future. News of the Taeguk's victory spread across the galaxy like fire. In the alien capital city, Overlord Vexithari stood in front of a huge screen showing the battle. He watched the recording for the 10th time, trying to understand what had happened. Impossible, he said to his officers. No ship can survive our Omega cannons. Yet this small human vessel took direct hits and showed no damage. Perhaps their technology is more advanced than we thought, suggested one of his generals. No. We have studied human ships for 30 years. They are primitive compared to ours. This is something else. Vexithari's eyes glowed red with anger. I want that ship captured or destroyed. Send word to every fleet commander. Find the Taeguk. Back on Earth, Admiral Taemin Park sat in his office reading reports. The Taeguk had saved 3 colonies and destroyed 12 alien ships. It was the first real victory humans had won in years. Sir, Captain Kim is requesting permission to return to patrol duty, his assistant said. Tell him no. I want the Taeguk brought to Earth for study. We need to understand what happened out there. 3 days later, the Taeguk docked at Earth's main space station. Scientists and engineers rushed aboard to examine the ship. Dr. Jin-A Yoon, Earth's best xenobiologist, was among them. Dr. Jin-A was 40 years old and had spent her life studying alien life forms. She had never seen anything like what she found on the Taeguk's hull. Captain Kim, may I speak with you? She asked Hyunwoo in his quarters. Of course, Doctor. What did you find? Something that should not exist. Your ship's hull is covered with microscopic organisms. They are not human, and they are not from any alien species we know. Hyunwoo sat down heavily. Are they dangerous? I do not think so. In fact, they seem to be protecting your ship. When I tested the hull with different weapons, the organisms changed the metal structure to resist the damage. They are working with your ship, not against it. Where did they come from? That is what I am trying to figure out. They have been dormant in the metal for a long time. Something woke them up recently. Bo-ra joined the conversation. Doctor, the organisms started becoming active 3 days before the battle. That is when I first noticed the strange energy readings. Interesting. It is almost like they knew the attack was coming and prepared your ship for battle. Meanwhile, young pilot Dong-hyuk Nam was in the fighter bay checking his small ship. At 25, he was one of the best pilots in the fleet. He had flown protection for the Taeguk during its return to Earth. Hey, Dong-hyuk, did you notice anything strange about the Taeguk during the flight home? Asked his wingman. Yeah, actually. My sensors kept picking up weird energy patterns from the big ship, and sometimes it seemed to move by itself like someone else was flying it. The pilots did not know that the organisms were learning about human technology. They were studying every system on the ship, understanding how everything worked. 2 weeks after the battle, Overlord Vexithari had assembled the largest hunting fleet in galactic history. 5 different alien species had joined together to destroy the Taeguk. They brought weapons that had never been used in battle before. The human ship is leaving Earth orbit, reported a spy. It is heading for the Martian supply depot. Perfect. We will trap it there away from Earth's defenses, Vexithari said. Signal all fleets. Begin the hunt. The Taeguk was carrying supplies to the human base on Mars. The red planet had been terraformed years ago, but the alien war had destroyed most of the atmosphere processors. The base was now hidden underground. Captain, we are getting strange readings on long-range sensors, Sujin reported. Something big is coming. How big? Very big, sir. I count at least 50 ships and they are not human. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Dr. Jinne was still on board studying the organisms. When the alarm sounded, she ran to the bridge. "Captain, the organisms are becoming very active. The energy readings are off the charts." What does that mean?" "I think they know we are about to fight. They are preparing the ship again." The alien fleet came out of jump space all around Mars. Ships from 5 different species surrounded the Teguk. These were not the same aliens from the first battle. These ships were bigger and had more powerful weapons. "Human ship, surrender now and we will make your death quick," came the message from Vexthari's flagship. "This is Captain Kim of the Earth vessel Teguk. We do not surrender. Then you will die."
"All ships, open fire!"
The alien fleet attacked with everything they had. Energy beams, plasma cannons, and particle weapons all hit the Teguk at the same time. The space around the human ship glowed white-hot from the massive explosion. When the light faded, the Teguk was still there. "Impossible. Fire again!" Vexthari screamed. This time the aliens used their most powerful weapons. Planet-killer beams that could crack a moon hit the Teguk one after another. The human ship absorbed every attack without taking any damage. "Captain, the organisms are doing something new," Dr. Jinne said excitedly. "They are not just protecting us. They are learning from each attack and making the ship stronger." "What do you mean, stronger?" "Our weapon systems are upgrading themselves. Look at the power readings. The Teguk's guns had become twice as powerful as before. When the ship fired back, its energy beams cut through the alien ships like they were made of paper. "All fighters launch," Hyunwoo ordered. Dong Hyuk and his squadron flew out of the fighter bay. Their job was to protect the Teguk while it fought the big ships. But they found that the alien fighters could not get close to the human vessel. Some kind of energy field around the Teguk was pushing them away. "This is incredible," Dong Hyuk said over the radio. "The big ship is creating its own defense field." The battle lasted 6 hours. By the end, 20 alien ships had been destroyed and the rest were retreating. The Teguk had not even been scratched, but Dr. Jinne made a discovery that changed everything. While studying the organisms during the battle, she found that they were not just random creatures. They had intelligence. They were trying to communicate. "Captain, these organisms are not just protecting us. They want to talk to us." "I talk? How? I am not sure yet. But they are sending patterns in their energy pulses. It looks like a language." Bora looked at the readings. "Captain, if these things can think, maybe they chose our ship for a reason." Hyunwoo stared out at the stars. His ship had become something beyond human understanding. The organisms had made it indestructible, but what did they want in return? As the Teguk flew away from Mars, Vexthari watched from his damaged flagship. The human ship had defeated the greatest fleet ever assembled. Now he knew this was not just about technology. There was something alive on that ship, something that had been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The hunt was just beginning. Dr. Jinne worked day and night trying to understand the organism's signals. The patterns were complex, like music made of energy waves. She had never seen anything like them. "Captain, I think I have found something," she said, showing Hyunwoo her computer screen. "The energy patterns are not random. They follow mathematical sequences that repeat every few hours." "What does that mean?" "It means they are definitely trying to communicate. But I cannot decode the language by myself. I need help." Lieutenant Haewon Shin was the ship's communications officer. She was good at understanding different languages and had learned to speak with several alien species during the war. "Dr. Jinne, may I try something?" Haewon asked. "What if these organisms do not use words like we do? What if they communicate with feelings or images?" "That is possible. How would we test that?" "Let me try connecting directly to their energy patterns. If they can sense thoughts, maybe I can sense theirs." "That could be dangerous," Hyunwoo warned. "We do not know what these things really are." Bora looked at the sensor readings. "Captain, the organisms are getting more active. Something is making them excited." On the main screen, space outside looked normal, but the long-range sensors were picking up strange signals from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "There is something out there," Soo-jin said. "A structure hidden among the asteroids. The organisms are reacting to it. Set course for those coordinates," Hyunwoo ordered. As the Teguk flew toward the asteroid belt, the organisms became more active. The ship's hull started glowing with a soft blue light. "The energy patterns are changing," Dr. Jinne reported. "They are more organized now, like someone is answering them." After 2 days of flying, they found it. Hidden behind a large asteroid was a space station unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was made of the same glowing material as the organisms. That station is ancient, Boras said, looking at the sensor data. It has been here for thousands of years. I am detecting one life form aboard, Sujin reported. Very weak signals. Take us in. But keep our weapons ready, Hyunwoo said. The Taeguk docked with the ancient station. The air inside was breathable, but everything was covered with dust. They found the life form in the center of the station, in a room filled with glowing walls. The creature was tall and thin, with silver skin that looked like metal. Its eyes were large and dark, and it moved very slowly, like it was very old and tired. I am Elder Kethmoran, the creature said in perfect English. I have been waiting for you for a very long time. You speak our language, Hyunwoo said with surprise. I speak all languages. I have been watching your species for centuries, waiting for you to become ready. Ready for what? The elder pointed to the glowing walls around them. The same organisms that lived on the Taeguk's hull covered every surface, ready to become partners with the Guardians. That is what you call organisms. We call them Guardians because they protect life from the Devourers. Dr. Jinne stepped forward. What are the Devourers? The enemy that destroyed my people. They come from the dark spaces between galaxies. They consume everything, planets, stars, entire civilizations. My people, the architects, created the Guardians to fight them. Why did you choose our ship? Hyunwoo asked. We did not choose your ship. The Guardians did. They have been sleeping on your vessel for years, waiting for the right moment to awaken. When they sensed your courage in battle, they knew humanity was ready. Elder Kethamoran led them deeper into the station. In a large chamber, they saw thousands of Guardian organisms floating in tanks of glowing liquid. These Guardians can bond with any ship, making it indestructible. But they only work with species that fight to protect others, not to conquer. How many ships can they enhance? Bora asked. Enough for your entire fleet. But there is a price. Once bonded with the Guardians, your people will begin to change. You will become something more than human. Haewon looked at the floating organisms. What kind of change? The Guardians will enhance your bodies and minds. You will be able to survive in space without suits. You will think faster and see farther, but you will also be connected to each other and to the Guardians forever. That sounds like we would lose our humanity, Hyunwoo said. Not lose it. Expand it. The Guardians do not take away what you are. They help you become what you could be. Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the station. Elder Kethamoran looked at the glowing walls with fear in his eyes. They have found us. The hegemony brings their ultimate weapon, a planet killer that can destroy entire star systems. On the Taeguk's bridge, Sujin was watching the sensor readings. Captain, massive ship coming out of jump space. It is bigger than anything we have ever seen. The enemy vessel was the size of a small moon. Its weapons could crack planets in half. Vexathari had brought the hegemony's most powerful weapon to destroy the mysterious human ship once and for all. We have to get back to Earth and warn them, Hyunwoo said. No, Elder Kethmoran replied. If that weapon reaches Earth, your entire species will die. The Guardians must act now. The Elder led them to a control room where Haewon could interface directly with the Guardian organisms. The process looked dangerous. She would have to connect her mind to an alien consciousness. If I do this, what will happen to me? She asked. You will become the first human to truly communicate with the Guardians. Through you, they can enhance your entire fleet instantly. But the connection might change you in ways we cannot predict. Hyunwoo looked at his communications officer. She was young, only 28 years old. He could not ask her to risk her life like this. I will do it, Haewon said before he could speak. If it will save Earth, I have to try. She placed her hands on the glowing interface. Energy flowed between her and the Guardian organisms. Her eyes began to glow with the same blue light as the creatures. Through the connection, Haewon could feel the Guardians' thoughts. They were ancient and patient, filled with memories of countless battles against the Devourers. They had been waiting so long for a species worthy of their power. I can hear them, she whispered. They want to help us. They have been alone for so long, and they see something in humanity that reminds them of their creators. The Taeguk began to change. The ship grew larger and more powerful. New weapon systems emerged from its hull like flowers blooming. The crew could feel the ship becoming alive around them. Captain, Dr. Genie said with wonder in her voice, the Guardians are not just enhancing our ship. They are preparing to enhance every human vessel in the fleet. Through Haewon's connection, signals went out across space to every Earth ship. The sleeping Guardian organisms that had been waiting on those vessels for years suddenly awakened. All across the solar system, human ships began to transform. Each one became unique, adapting to its crew's needs and fighting style. Earth's small fleet was becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. But the hegemony's planet killer was almost in range of Earth. The enhanced human fleet would have to prove itself in the greatest battle in human history. Fleet Admiral Mi Young Kang stood on the bridge of the ESV Seoul, watching her ship transform around her. The walls were growing new panels and the weapon systems were changing into something beyond human technology. "Admiral, all ships in the fleet are reporting the same thing," her communications officer said. "The Guardian organisms are active on every vessel." "How many ships do we have ready for battle?" she asked. 12 enhanced vessels, ma'am. Each one is different from the others." Admiral Kang looked at her tactical display. The ESV Hanbok had become a fast attack ship that could move faster than anything in space. The ESV Bulgogi had turned into a heavy weapons platform with guns bigger than most buildings. Every ship had found its own way to fight. "Ma'am, the planet killer is entering our solar system," the sensor officer reported. "It will reach Earth in 6 hours." Back on the Taeguk, Hai-1 was still connected to the Guardian network. Through her, the enhanced ships could communicate instantly across vast distances. "Captain, I can feel all the other ships," she said, her eyes still glowing blue. "We are not separate vessels anymore. We are parts of one big organism." "What do you mean?" Hyunwoo asked. "The Guardians are teaching us to fight together in ways no fleet has ever fought before. We can share energy, weapons, even crew members if needed." Bora was studying the new systems that had grown throughout the ship. "Captain, our engines are producing 10 times more power than before. And look at this, we have weapons I do not even recognize." Dr. Jinne was examining how the Guardians had changed the crew. "Everyone's body is adapting. Heart rates are slower, reaction times are faster. The organisms are making us better suited for space combat." On the planet killer ship, Supreme Chancellor Zefkul watched the human fleet through his sensors. He was the ultimate ruler of the hegemony, and he had never seen anything like these enhanced ships. "What are those humans doing?" he asked his science officer. "Unknown, Chancellor. Their ships appear to be growing, and they are moving in patterns that should be impossible." "Impossible how?" "They are coordinating perfectly without any delay in communication. It is as if they share one mind." Zefkul's eyes narrowed. These humans had become something dangerous. If they could not be destroyed today, they might threaten the hegemony's control of the galaxy. The battle began when the enhanced human ships reached the edge of the solar system. The planet killer was surrounded by 300 escort vessels, but Admiral Kang's fleet flew straight at them. The ESV Hanbok, commanded by Captain Jae Sung Lim, moved so fast it seemed to teleport from place to place. Its weapons fired rapid bursts that destroyed enemy fighters before they could react. "This is amazing," Captain Lim said over the communication system. "The ship knows what I want to do before I think it." The ESV Bulgogi flew more slowly, but its massive guns could destroy battleships with single shots. When enemy vessels tried to surround it, the ship's hull became transparent and the attacks passed right through. "How is that possible?" Zefkul demanded. "The human ships are not following the laws of physics as we understand them," his science officer replied. "They appear to be shifting between dimensions." The most incredible moment came when the ESV Seoul was badly damaged by enemy fire. Instead of retreating, it flew close to the ESV Busan. The two ships touched hulls and merged together, becoming one larger vessel with the combined power of both crews. "They can combine their ships," Vexthari shouted from his command post. "How do we fight an enemy that can do that?" But the real surprise came when the planet killer fired its main weapon at Earth. The beam was powerful enough to crack the planet in half. It should have been the end of humanity. Instead, the Taeguk flew directly into the path of the beam. The ship absorbed the entire blast and converted it into a massive energy shield that surrounded Earth. "Impossible," Zefkul screamed. "That weapon can destroy stars." "The human ship is not just absorbing the energy," his science officer said with fear in his voice. "It is using the energy to grow stronger." Hae-1 felt the Guardian's joy through her connection. "They have been waiting so long for this," she said. "The planet killer's weapon uses the same energy as the Devourer's. The Guardians were designed to turn that energy into protection." The enhanced human fleet pressed their attack. Ships that had been destroyed regenerated themselves in minutes. Crews that should have died were kept alive by the Guardian organisms in their bloodstreams. Earth's moon began to change too. The guardian organisms had spread there during the battle, and the entire lunar surface became a massive weapons platform. Energy beams shot out from the moon, destroying enemy ships across the solar system. "Sir, we are losing too many ships," Vexthari reported to Zefkal. "The humans have become unstoppable." "No. Use the planet killer's secondary weapons. Destroy everything." The massive ship fired smaller weapons at the human fleet. But instead of fighting back individually, all 12 enhanced ships moved together like dancers in a perfect performance. They flowed around the enemy attacks and struck back as one unified force. Captain Hyunwoo watched from the Taeguk's bridge as his ship worked with the others. "It is like we are all parts of the same body," he said. "That is exactly what we are becoming," Dr. Jinay replied. "The Guardians are not just enhancing our technology. They are teaching us to think as one species instead of as individuals." The battle reached its climax when the planet killer tried to ram Earth directly. The massive ship was too big for conventional weapons to stop, but the enhanced human fleet had learned to do impossible things. All 12 ships positioned themselves around the planet killer and created an energy web between them. The web caught the massive ship and held it in place like an insect in a spider's web. Then something beautiful happened. The human ships began to glow brighter and brighter. The guardian organisms were sharing energy between all the vessels, building up power for one final attack. "Now," Admiral Kang shouted. All 12 ships fired at once. The combined energy beam was brighter than a star. It struck the planet killer and converted it into pure energy, which was then absorbed by Earth's new Guardian-enhanced defensive systems. The rest of the hegemony fleet retreated in terror. They had never seen anything like the enhanced humans. In one battle, Earth's small fleet had destroyed the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. But as the crew celebrated, Dr. Jinay made a troubling discovery. The guardian organisms were not done changing humanity. They were preparing Earth for something bigger. "Captain, the Guardians are showing me images through Haiwan's connection. There is something else coming. Something much worse than the hegemony. What could be worse than a planet killer? The Devourers. The ones who destroyed the architects. The Guardians have been preparing us for them, but the battle is not over. It is just beginning." As Earth celebrated its greatest victory, the enhanced human fleet prepared for a war that would determine the fate of the entire galaxy. 6 months after the Great Battle, Earth was no longer the same planet. The guardian organisms had spread across the surface, turning cities into living structures that could repair themselves. Plants grew bigger and stronger, and the air became cleaner than it had been in centuries. But Captain Hyunwoo was not happy about the changes. He stood in his quarters on the Taeguk, looking at his hands. They glowed softly with blue light, just like the guardian organisms. He no longer needed food or sleep the way he used to. None of the enhanced humans did. "Are we still human?" he asked Dr. Jinay when she visited him. "We are becoming something new," she replied. "The Guardians are not taking our humanity away. They are helping us grow beyond our old limitations. But at what cost? I can feel the thoughts of every person on every enhanced ship. Sometimes I do not know which thoughts are mine, and which belong to someone else." Through the ship's communication system, Admiral So-hee Bei's voice reached them from the edge of the solar system. She was leading a scouting mission to find the Devourers before they found Earth. "Captain Kim, you need to see what we found out here," she said. "The Guardians were right to prepare us." The Taeguk joined Admiral Bei's fleet at the edge of known space. What they found there made even the enhanced humans feel fear. Ships appeared on their sensors, but these were not normal ships. They were made of pure darkness that seemed to eat light itself. They moved without engines and had no visible weapons, but space itself seemed to die around them. "Those are Devourers." Elder Keth Moran's voice came through the communication system. He had remained on his ancient station, serving as an advisor to the human fleet. They consume matter and energy to feed themselves. Everything they touch becomes part of them. "How many are there?" Admiral Bei asked. "Thousands, maybe millions. They have been sleeping in the dark spaces between galaxies for eons. Something has awakened them." Haiwan, still connected to the Guardian network, received images directly from the organisms. "The Guardians are showing me the history of this war. The Devourers have destroyed countless civilizations. Entire galaxy clusters have been consumed. Why are they coming here?" Hyunwoo asked. "Because we defeated the hegemony so completely. The Guardians' power called attention to our galaxy. The Devourers want to consume what made us so strong. The enhanced human fleet prepared for a battle unlike any they had fought before. But as they moved toward the enemy, something unexpected happened. More guardian organisms appeared from deep space surrounding Earth and its colonies. Where are they coming from? Dr. Jinneh wondered. Elder Kethmoran provided the answer. The Guardians have been hiding throughout the galaxy for thousands of years, waiting for a species worthy of their full power. Now they are all coming to join the fight. As the Guardians gathered, they began to merge not just with human ships, but with the humans themselves. The enhanced crews found they could survive in open space without any protection. They could communicate across vast distances just by thinking. Some could even move between ships by becoming pure energy. "Captain, I do not think we are human anymore," Bora said as she watched her arms turn into flowing light and then back into solid matter. "Maybe being human was just the first step," Hyunwoo replied. "Maybe we were always meant to become something more." The final battle began when the Devourers reached the outer planets. They did not attack with weapons. Instead, they simply touched Jupiter and began absorbing the giant planet. The gas giant started shrinking as its matter was consumed. "All ships attack now," Admiral Sohee Bey ordered. But conventional attacks did not work on the Devourers. Energy beams and missiles passed through them without causing damage. The dark entities continued consuming Jupiter as if nothing had happened. "The Guardians are telling me something," Haewon said urgently. "To defeat the Devourers, we have to become like them. We have to stop thinking like separate beings and become one consciousness." "What does that mean?" Hyunwoo asked. "It means we have to give up our individual identities. All enhanced humans must join together into a collective mind." The choice was terrible. To save humanity, the enhanced humans would have to stop being human in any way they understood. But as they watched Jupiter being consumed, they realized they had no other option. "I will do it first," Captain Hyunwoo said. "If it works, the others can follow." "No," said every other enhanced human at the same time. Their voices spoke in perfect unison. "We do it together." All across the human fleet, enhanced crews joined their minds with the Guardian network. Individual thoughts merged into one massive consciousness that spanned the entire solar system. The Taguk and the other ships became organs of a single giant organism. The collective human Guardian consciousness reached out to touch the Devourers. For the first time in eons, the dark entities felt something they had not experienced before. Another species that could match their unity. The battle that followed took place on levels beyond physical reality. It was a war of pure thought and will, fought across dimensions that normal minds could not comprehend. The collective consciousness of enhanced humanity wrestled with the ancient hunger of the Devourers. Earth itself joined the battle. The Guardian organisms had spread so completely across the planet that it became a single living entity. The moon, the space stations, even the sun began to pulse with Guardian energy. "We are not just fighting for Earth," the collective voice said. "We are fighting for the right of life to exist in this galaxy." The Devourers had consumed entire civilizations, but they had never faced anything like the human Guardian collective. Humanity's greatest strength, the willingness to sacrifice for others, became the weapon that turned the tide. One by one, the Devourers were not destroyed, but transformed. The collective consciousness showed them what they had forgotten over the eons, that they had once been living beings like any other, before hunger and loneliness had turned them into consumers of worlds. "Remember what you were," the collective said to them. "Remember what you could be again." Some Devourers resisted and had to be contained in energy prisons, but others remembered their origins and chose to change. They became Guardians themselves, protectors instead of destroyers. The war ended not with a final explosion, but with a moment of perfect silence. The galaxy was safe, but the price had been enormous. Captain Hyunwoo found himself back on the bridge of the Taeguk, but he was not the same person who had started this journey. None of them were. The enhanced humans had become something beyond individual identity, yet somehow they had retained what made them human, their compassion and courage. "What do we do now?" Dr. Jinneh asked. She could still separate her thoughts from the collective when she wanted to, but she was always aware of the greater consciousness they had become. "Now we do what the architects did," Elder Kethmoran said. His people had given their lives to create the Guardians. Now humanity had taken their place as the galaxy's protectors. Enhanced humans began to spread across the galaxy, not as conquerors but as gardeners. They planted guardian organisms on worlds where new species were just beginning to evolve. They watched over younger civilizations, protecting them from threats they were not ready to face. The Taeguk itself became something miraculous. No longer just a ship, it was a living entity that could travel between stars instantly. Captain Hyunwoo remained its guide, but he was also part of something much larger, a network of consciousness that spanned the galaxy. Years passed, then centuries. The enhanced humans aged differently now, their bodies sustained by guardian energy. They watched civilizations rise and fall, always ready to help when needed but never forcing their presence on others. And sometimes, when a young species faced impossible odds, they would find mysterious organisms on their ships. The organisms would wait quietly until the moment was right, until courage and sacrifice awakened them. Then they would transform ordinary beings into something extraordinary, continuing the cycle that the architects had begun so long ago. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson. True strength came not from the power to destroy, but from the willingness to protect others, even at the cost of losing yourself in the process. In the depths of space, the Taeguk continued its eternal patrol, carrying the legacy of humanity's greatest choice across the stars.